atmosphere.
Yeah. Sweat Equity Podcast.
I like being in control of music.
You can't? You can control it from
I'm
now
slowly taking over all of it.
on? Did you add that to our Spotify?
What, the song?
We got a playlist, yeah.
Oh, no shit. Okay.
Look up Sweat Equity. You gotta pot it down a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, well. Already bossing me around.
Well,
Okay, cool.
So you want to do the radio thing where you're not talking over the lyrics, but if you are, you gotta pot it down.
Oh, I was waiting for you to tell me how to...
Sweat
whatever.
Equity Podcast and Streaming Show playlist on Spotify.
Yes.
That's what it's called. You can add to it. Send us requests. Maybe we'll put it on. And by maybe, I mean probably.
Yeah. You'll get to hear the first 2 minutes of a song. And us talking over it. Cool.
Yeah, we talk over it, but it's good times. You know, we want to talk some charity, giving back today.
Yeah.
From a business standpoint, from a you're doing your own thing, and maybe you need to put some kind of community endeavor involved.
Heart out.
Wow.
Sorry.
Okay. Well, you don't even let me get the hottie totty going in there. See, you gotta.
You want it back? You get back.
Yeah,
Give
I
it
need
right
a little
back
bit
to you.
something. I gotta work into. I've been letting the song play pretty much the whole way out.
Good.
You know,
Do it.
If you're doing your own thing, you're doing your own business, you should probably have something involved that is charity or community giving back, something related that does it. A lot of people would look at it as, if you're a bottom line kind of guy, a waste of time sometimes.
Yeah.
I'll donate on my own, but we're going to tell you why that's probably not the best way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Personal donations, great. Do those too. But figuring out that corporate social responsibility, CSR as it's called in the nerd business world.
Ooh, I haven't heard that nerd term yet.
Oh, yeah. CSR, baby.
Be sure not to learn it. But
Charity, giving back, donations. It can really add value to your product or service. And it might even make you more profit at the end of the day. So I'll give a quick hottie toddy.
Well, that was good. That's better.
Yeah. It was like a golf clap of a hottie toddy.
Yeah, that's the new standard.
That's the
Nice
new
and
standard.
quick.
Okay. That's how I do my sex.
You're welcome, listeners
So,
and
I'm
watchers.
going to throw out a couple stats about this. And then, actually, I want to hear, what are you working on? Anything interesting?
You always ask me, and I can't talk about none of it right now.
You can't, but anything you can talk broadly about.
I was ready to talk charity with you.
We can talk charity.
We've got all kinds of great tips.
We're both working on a few things that both of us can't really talk about on air yet. I'm earmarking some of the things that's going on now. So maybe a couple months I'll be able to.
Yeah.
Not to sound so vague that it's like, come on, what are these guys talking about?
It's not that cool. It's just it's conflict of interest.
Yeah,
talk,
yeah.
right?
So, or you just don't want to jinx it, count your chickens before they hatch,
Yeah.
or give up your plans in case
Yeah.
there is actually someone who does the research and looks up what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So I will say that I working on stuff. I'm working on trying to help my church, which is part of our at Tokabaga Consulting, where we do this podcast out of the Sweat Lodge studio. Yeah. Keeping it sweaty.
Yeah, always. Pit stains.
Sweat Lodge is good. It makes you say weird stuff. That's what this room does. It makes people get on mic and freak out.
Love it. Extremes.
Yeah, but it's also a safe space where you can say those things.
Yeah.
A real safe space, not like a college campus.
Oh, no, that's not safe.
Yeah, I want First Amendment.
Most dangerous safe space there is.
So I would say...
You're going to church?
I'm working. No, I'm not actually. This is the worst. Because I'm telling my pastors I grew up with, hey, let me help you with your nerd stuff. Let me help you with your digital. Once a quarter, we donate some of our time to kind of like one project, really. And sometimes that's something that's definitely not going to be like a profit thing for us.
Yes.
So we in the fall
In this life,
right. We're building
karma points.
building up that heaven credit. What up? So we try to designate that because I felt like if we don't create some kind of rules, I'll say yes to too many things and then we'll never get it done, kind of thing. So the church is funny though, and if anybody's listening that is trying to help their church with any of these things, or trying to do anything where they are helping their church try to run like a business, because that's what I told them. I was like, I can't do this unless we really like attack it with deadlines and like keeping people accountable. Because I told them, I'll be the dick. Let me be a dick. That's how I said it too. To my pastors. They're cool. They've seen me do stand-up. They know what I'm about. So I was like, you can't fire a volunteer.
Yeah.
From their position. That's really tough, right?
Yeah. Pretty much across the board. They're kind of all volunteers. Driving Mercedeses.
There's some people in the office staff that do get paid, but it's still like probably not amazing, you know? As far as like just how budgets work for churches.
Right.
And they were like, hey, we want to try to get your age group to come in. And I'm like, I'm cool with that. Treat it like any other business, like a bar.
Cool church.
No.
Serve booze at the church. Is that what you're getting at?
That is an idea we had.
Yeah.
We actually had an idea. Did I tell you that part? No.
The Catholic Church has tried that for thousands of years. They just don't give enough.
Well, I was like, we should try to work. There's 75 breweries in the area, in the Tampa Bay area. We should try to co-brand with one of them, and that'd be just a fun idea. It builds up both the profiles of this church and whoever we work with. And
could partner with a synagogue, brews with Jews.
I'm down with that.
Yeah.
I tell everybody.
Did you write that down? I mean,
well,
that's good. That is good.
Hallelujah is the name.
Damn it, you beat me. Fuck.
I actually wrote down a bunch of names.
That's
good. Like 3 Hefeweizen men or something like that. It was bad. I got a lot of puns, a lot of dad puns. But
it's very punny.
That's something where I go, look, we'll treat you as a client, and I feel like I haven't kept up my end of the bargain with a lot of other things. I made this big proclamation, like, look, got to treat you as a client. You guys get whoever was able to do digital for them. They're just happy to have someone to do it. And then I look at their stuff, and I'm like, you guys are so far.
You guys
behind.
are going to hell.
And it doesn't. Yeah, you're going to hell. Development hell. That it. To get this age group, you have to be good on and offline.
Yeah.
The mid-30-year-old. We're at the top. We're the oldest of the millennial generation, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
So I said, I'm down to help the best way I can. And I don't know how it's going to help us as a business. I just know it will. Right?
It's experience. It's a new angle.
Churches are a very good niche for digital agencies. So, like the dental community and law firms, SEO companies, they're really specific. Like that's all they do, kind of thing.
Right.
The mega churches, I mean, they spend a lot on branding and marketing, events, stuff like that. So the way I try to look at it, like a heathen, is treat it like a bar or a brewery, right? You're doing marketing for them. You have to get a certain percentage of people that come every week, and then you have to get new people to come. A bar, you want 80% new people. You want 20% returners. I'd flip that for a church. If you can get 80%, audience will be there.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I got you. Sorry.
Yeah. So flip it. So a bar per.
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah.
20% for a bar. That's good for quote unquote regulars, and we all know what that means at a bar.
But regulars can't. Too many can alienate a lot of new.
Yeah, you don't want to turn into a biker bar or whatever.
Which John Taffer said, if you play music that has a female lead in it, it'll help drive bikers out of a bar. It's funny you use bikers as an example.
Is that really? Is that what he said?
Yeah, I remember that distinctly because I didn't believe it, and I looked it up, and he's right.
It was the only demographic I could think of that comes in and just takes over bars. What other kind of bars are there?
Bros can be that way.
Well, most bars are bro bars.
A lot of bros are broke. Broke bros.
You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, it's a biker bar. That's a thing.
Yeah.
Like, you don't want to go into that bar. It's a biker bar.
Yeah, it's like a move they do. Like, the bikers are like, oh, we're going to come in here and do
This is our bar now.
We're going to do some crank in the bathroom.
Yeah, and sell it. Yeah.
So a church is like bikers doing crank at a bar. Wait, hold on.
Yes.
I messed up metaphors. So I just said this would be a good topic to kind of throw out there. And I'm thinking, you know, just like we did last week, talking about kind of the mild depression of doing your own business or you know, trying to hustle.
Mm-hmm. Well, we called it loneliness, but
yeah, I shouldn't call it depression because that's
we all
that's
know where
almost,
you are now.
That's almost clinical. Well, I should stop using depression as like kind of the same thing as isolation or loneliness because depression's clinical.
Yeah, and the people who are depressed are now
right.
even more depressed that you're so flippantly using that word.
I've had that. People have told me that actually a few times. So I'm trying
really?
Yeah, because I get it because it's like that's not really what you're talking about is bummed out. That's not depressed. They don't say bummed out, but they just say it's like that's not depression's when it's like you can't get out of bed kind of thing.
Yeah.
And you're physically fine. You know, you can't do a normal task and everything else is running fine.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, the way we approach that though, I kind of liked. I may try to form the podcast episodes sometimes when we're just tackling one topic, maybe more or less this way until we may go more user questions, live stream questions and stuff. We're live streaming on Facebooks, the books of Face.
Both of them.
All right. And so,
all right.
If anybody wants
to learn that,
I forgot we were doing that. If anybody does want to hit questions live, I'll try to pay attention to it and answer them, put them out there while we're doing this, while we're talking about giving to charities as a company. And so, I like diagnosis, I like a game plan, and then I like kind of throwing out some pragmatic advice.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of how we did it last week. I thought that was kind of a good little bum bum bum.
Yeah.
Da-da, da-da, da-da. Rule threes.
So what have you promised the church? What have you promised to God?
Promise. I didn't.
What have you?
So here's why I messed up. I didn't make due dates.
Mm.
So that's part of that game planning. I should have, to treat like a client, I should have been like, okay, here's the breakdown. I'm going to rebrand you. Here's what that means. Here's the rounds of design. And we just kind of got into the work quickly because I thought I was going to be able to just knock it out. I got my own dome about doing the branding because I was like, I don't think this group of people is going to like this. And I don't think they're going to like this. And that's how you end up with garbage, basically. Like trying to appease everybody.
Yeah. A lot of them have their own insignia with the whole cross and all already. So
I did research. I tried to be respectful. I looked up a Presbyterian, the cross for Presbyterian. It's crazy looking.
It's got like a circle around it, I think. Maybe
some do, some like don't.
Yeah.
But the main one that I think is the official one has like they try to combine like 7 different icons into like one super like transformer
super insignia
logo. Well, it has like the pulpit and then it has like a book on top of it. I'll pull up the breakdown because you're like, oh yeah, no one would get it.
Yeah. You know, they say the ones with like the circle on it possibly represented a psychedelic mushroom back in the day.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I read that book, The Sacred Mushroom and the Cross, where the dude goes back. Like it was a book that, and Rogan talks about it all the time, where John Marco Allegro, he translated old-timey religious text in a different way because, you know, they've been translated 500 times over 1,000 years. And he pretty much convinced me the whole Bible was about doing mushrooms.
Is that talking about like the burning bush?
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't actually burning, but you're on acid.
Yeah, well, they say it was an acacia tree, and acacia has really high levels of DMT, dimethyltryptamine, in it, which
what does that
mean? Like the most powerful psychedelic in the world. But it's present in all people. Yeah. They think it's what happens when you die. Like you get a rush of DMT. It's like the same sort of disconnecting feeling, sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, all very interesting stuff.
No, that is interesting.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
I mean,
The book itself is kind of tough to read. It's more of one of those things where I want to be like, I read it, but I ain't going back and reading it again.
I've got a David Foster Wallace book like that. I'm like, I read his stuff.
Completed.
I didn't understand it.
Yeah.
I am Charlotte Simmons or something like that. I was like, oh no, that's a Tom Wolfe book. I don't even remember what the book is. I was just like, I don't even understand it. This guy's on a different level.
That's one where you look and you're like, what did I just read for the past 20 minutes? You're thinking about something else.
Oh yeah. I just knew this guy, like every smart person on earth loved David Foster Wallace, and I was like, I'll try that. But wait, so the Bible,
right?
So could be fantasy tales of kind of like
the idea was that they had like hidden this secret strategy for connecting with God where you take psychedelics. And they hid it in these texts that if you translate it a certain way, you can kind of read into it. But it was taken more... Well, I mean, if you're buying into the book, the Sacred Mushroom and the Cross book, then you're kind of buying into this same idea. That the Bible is not all...
that book.
Yes, I do own it, yes.
With that title, though, you've already made the commitment.
Yes, exactly.
No one's like, I'm on the fence about it.
Well, when I heard about it, the book was actually taken off the market somehow by, I think, the Catholic Church. Like, they got it removed from the shelves somehow.
Oh, yeah.
And then it was reprinted later.
Yeah. I would say, I don't know. I'd follow that theory. I'm all right with that.
Oh,
I don't care if we're on Tangent Highway. This is why
I believe it.
This is why having a podcast is awesome.
Yeah.
So we'll get back on.
So
on
you're
cruise control.
Yeah.
So I'll throw in the church stuff kind of as a metaphor. I want to go backwards a little bit. So there's a lot of people that when we talk to a lot of clients, so they do. A lot of people I know, small businesses, local business. If they usually give something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I ask them, like, are you giving, like, through your personal checking account? I'll ask them that. And they're like, some of them be like, yeah. You're like, okay, well, this is going to be hard to, you can make that a personal donation, but your business should have that as well. If you're a service industry and you donate time, you don't get a tax credit for that. So like our per hour is $186.50 an hour. We could donate as many hours as we like or as little as we like. It's all the same.
You can't, even if you invoice them?
You can invoice them for costs that were associated that out of pocket, but
you can't say I worked 40 hours on this.
Right.
Credit me, baby.
So pro bono for a service.
Yeah.
But if you're a pizza place and you donate a bunch of pizzas, you can write that off.
Bullshit, right?
Well, here's why. Because
you could make it up.
You can make up a tangible, like, the number's not, it's not regulated. We can be $500 an hour. It doesn't matter.
We couldn't say a typical website of this scope goes for this much. Write it off.
That's going to be a tough area
because it's not
in the future.
Tangible, but it kind of is tangible.
It's not to old salts that don't understand stuff like that, right? So if I've already gone to court once trying to explain this stuff, try to get bad debt paid out.
Right.
You know, I think I got 6 of the 12 grand I was owed. Great court system there. When I like detailed everything, explained it, wasn't like all over the road, very specific. And it's like the judge is like, I don't really understand the internet.
Put
I'm
it
like,
in
fuck.
normal man's terms, please.
Right. I'm like, if your website's a store with puppies, who's fucking stole puppies from me.
Yeah.
Does
that help?
I'm already nervous. You put me on the spot. This isn't a game of improv. This isn't who's lying. I'm wearing a suit and there's 4 people in this courtroom. So anyway, you know, I think we always got to start with, like, you got to know what you don't know and know and diagnose what's going on. So what I see from our level is if you're a small business, you're probably donating here and there as the business if you're doing it, which I think is the wrong way to go about it. And I'll explain why in a minute. a lot of people are doing it from their personal account that they think is coming from. They'll put in their ledger it came from the business. I don't know if that you can kind of do that retroactively with your CPA or something. The payment, if you're doing a payment like that, needs to come directly from the bank account of the business.
Yeah, I could see that being weird.
Yeah, and then there's a third column, which is people don't think there's value in it, so they don't do it at all.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll throw a couple stats I looked up before we started. 55% of consumers said they're willing to pay more for products from socially responsible companies.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Right?
I feel the same way.
Yeah.
If you can prove it.
Right.
And if I look it up.
So that to
and,
me.
And I go and I see that, oh, you're just saying that, but really you're doing this over here. And that's all bullshit too.
I always bring up the water that's at Starbucks. If you're like Ethos water or something.
No, I've never paid attention to it.
Pathos water. I don't know. I can't remember what it's called. It's the bottled water they have there, right?
Yeah.
So I looked up like how much they actually give back, and it's like so insignificant.
Yeah.
Like a $3 bottle of water.
Yeah.
You got hoodwinked there.
Yeah.
So there's value. You can inflate value. The way we see it, I think, is transparency is going to become. It's going to become easier to find out this stuff.
Yeah.
More and more. I mean, the internet's kind of going polarized, where it's like transparency of a lot of stuff, but at the same time, more misinformation.
Fake news.
Right. So it's like it's the duality of the internet. It keeps pulling polar opposites, like more extreme on both sides.
Yeah.
Because you're seeing all these guys get busted for, like, all these celebrities getting busted for things, and it's like, yeah, the internet's becoming transparent.
Yeah, bro. Everybody has a professional camera in their hands at all times.
So yeah, that's the other part too. The video element is like we're not even really there to the point where like video is super clear everywhere, and present everywhere.
Yeah.
Anyway, for the millennial group, employee recruitment. You know how I love talking about using these marketing tactics on social and paid advertising to pull in talent, because a bad hire is negative 298% ROI.
Mm-hmm.
Think about that. Most companies hire on the fly, like panicking because someone left, someone gave their 2 weeks because they're moving. There's always going to be that stuff. And I don't know why.
Yeah, the recruitment push is pretty rare.
Right.
We're launching our new branch of this stuff, and we're hiring 1,000 people.
So we always tell people that should be part of your marketing long-term strategy. You should always have behind the scenes or what y'all are doing to give breaks and stuff. But in terms of CSR or social responsibility of a company, that what's it called? The millennial group. 79% said it can be one of the main factors in wanting to work somewhere. 79.
One of the main factors. Wow.
One of the primary factors for wanting to work somewhere. And I get it, because I would be that way.
Yeah.
I know I'm that way. If I'm going to look at something, I remember looking at the Soul Salons job I had a while back, and it was like, well, the CSR of this is we're creating entrepreneurs, we're creating small business owners, and we're getting people out of these they're getting stylists out of this shitty salon and empowering them to run their own business. Now, is that like a direct charity or community thing? No, but to me, or libertarian or American way, I think being an entrepreneur is super American. I think it's because literally, if you want to do it, you can do it. Yeah. You just have to work hard.
Yeah, I think people our age are starting to realize that it's going to be, we kind of just have to buy into this thing that we know everything's going to be transparent. So, like, let's just get ahead of it. The thing I'm always harping on is the GuideStar.org, which is it's a charity. It breaks down charity website, or charities, I guess. It's a website for it that it'll show basically their money coming in, money going out, and sort of thing. And you can look up and see their CEO salary. If it's a 501c3 charity, you have to have all these records public. So you can go in there and say, okay, the Susan G. Komen Foundation is actually pretty evil.
We'll get to that. Let's table that.
That sort of thing.
We'll table that for a minute, because the game planning, I want to go over how to choose them, right?
Yeah.
And that's a great tool. I never heard of that.
Really?
No. Well, I mean, it's one of those things you look up maybe once or twice, you know, and you don't really have to look up again.
Yeah.
Plus, stuff finds us here a lot of the time through all our channels,
Mm-hmm.
and so we're not really we're not having to be proactive because there's enough things we try to help with that come our way, just by happenstance.
Yeah.
Too. So diagnosing, like, all right, your business should do this because it adds value. I think we can, and if anybody wants to challenge that, throw it in the comments of this episode, and we'll try to go back and forth talking about it, because I didn't want to do like a book report, pull it up. I think most people would agree with that too. Our age group for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I would say
It's going to bring in higher quality people if they know. I mean, that's the whole idea, right?
Right. And here's another added value is I can guinea pig what I'm doing. We want to try something different with the service we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
I use these nonprofit, you know, these things where I'm going to do my kids' daycare stuff. They're a nonprofit. I'm going to help them with a lot of their stuff. I want to try this different way of going about the branding process and really try to do more of a psychological test, almost.
Okay.
We have that. It kind of triangulates what you like. But I know their logo is clip art because I've seen it 400 times.
Yeah.
Searching for a tree
Yeah.
logo. I was searching for an oak tree logo for a friend of mine that started she's a estate planning kind of attorney.
Uh-huh.
And I was just trying to think of like getting her something to help her out. And I was like, you should be an oak tree because it's generational and blah, blah,
With a
blah.
grave underneath it. Forrest Gump.
Yeah. The roots go all the way into the grave,
Mm-hmm.
and they tickle.
And then the zombie hand coming out of the ground. Perfect logo.
I guess you looked at my desk.
Yeah.
So
Seen the markups.
I was looking through that, and I saw my kid's daycare logo a billion times.
Yeah.
Because it's clip art, and she doesn't know that, though, the executive director. So it's kind of like, of the daycare.
Oh, did they pay somebody to design
Someone
the logo?
did it for them, and I think they probably did clip art or stock photo and just whatever. My point being, like, I've been wanting to try this new methodology that this might cut a lot of BS time for us doing the branding process, or they're the first one to do it as a guinea pig. So if we mess up, it's not that big of a deal. Like, I don't want to.
Well, if you mess up the churches, you know, your eternal soul is.
I already have.
Done.
I'm late on it. To me, like, I feel guilty already. I'm like Catholic and Jewish guilt already, and I'm not either of those.
Yeah.
So I'll get that done. It's just going to be one of those things where I got to like sit down and turn everything off.
Yep.
So, so that diagnosis of like, what is your company doing? What's your brand doing? And maybe you don't have a lot of money to do. All right, you can still provide labor.
Yeah, you've got time.
You probably have a specialty if you're trying to do your own thing. We always talk about most people start a business or a brand or whatever you want to call it because they're really good at one thing.
Yeah. Or they have a unique way that they want to do it.
Right. Yeah. A differentiator.
Yeah.
They have a system of doing something. Now you don't have to go like, you know, I don't know. I'm not good with working with people. Like, don't create these barriers already. That's another episode, a few episodes back. But you know you need to do it, and you know it's good. It has a lot of benefits for you as well. There's something called psychological egoism as well. You feel better volunteering.
Sure.
You feel like you volunteer to make yourself feel better.
Yeah.
That's
And
what most people do. They don't know it.
Yeah, we've talked about this before. It's like every little thing that you're doing in the end is somewhat selfish.
Sure.
You know, you're doing it a little bit for yourself.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
We talked about it in the reverse. To be able to help everybody else, you have to take care of yourself,
Mm-hmm.
right? But
Part of that is helping others.
right, being proactive as a brand that doesn't have a heart or doesn't have a conscience, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because people we want to associate love with like Toyota.
But do we? Why?
Because that's what they're branding. That's the brand trend is really like caring, love, emotion, feeling.
Yes,
These brands that are big ticket items, especially.
The Lexus with the giant bow on it.
Yeah, I mean it's more about the emotional part than this Lexus has this kind of engine, these kind of wheels, blah, 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 blah.
Look at your wife's face when she walks outside and it's snowing and it's so beautiful. And everything's
by the way,
perfect and she's hot.
I don't even know one person like 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon style. I don't know one person that's ever had that happen with the Lexus.
Or had the balls to come home with the Lexus on the,
oh yeah, to pull that off too. The dog starts barking, sees you at the window, and you're like, "Fuck, shut up, shut the fuck up." This is this
bird
is
shit all over the boat.
$37,000 fucking coupe. Come on, shut the fuck up. Yeah, my old comedian buddy Martha Marion used to have a awesome joke about it. Like, she's like, the girl in the commercial never freaks out like you would. Like, you just want a car and Price is Right. Those people win a neon and they flip their shit. Like, the lady's like, oh,
but then maybe, I don't know, maybe it's really great acting and the actress is thinking about the payments or the financial situation behind it all.
Oh, wow.
They go deep, all of them.
But she would reenact it on stage if she had a bow on a Lexus. Her dude gave her, husband, boyfriend, whatever, and just like fucking freaks out. Because that's how it would be.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how rich you are.
It's true.
That's how you should. Anyway, so know that going for giving back and just karma-wise, doing good deeds, it comes back to help you somehow.
Yeah, definitely. Big time.
We'll dispense free advice. Part of this podcast is somewhere in that zone. I'd say 10% of why we like to do it is because we like to pass on anything we think's valuable, and a lot of them are original ideas. We're just kind of a conduit in a way. Well,
everybody's a mimic.
Yeah, sure.
But
I try to be very clear. Like, a lot of stuff we're throwing out there is I just listen. I'm good at listening to smarter people and remembering what they said.
Yeah.
Writing it down and being like, I'm gonna steal that.
Yeah.
It's the opposite.
Realizing how stupid you are is a good thing sometimes.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
Oh yeah, I was a C+ student growing up.
Yeah.
And I knew that, but I got into business classes and got A's.
Yeah.
So something clicked, but not everything. You can't learn everything in school that way or about business. So my point being, like, if people are like, fuck these guys, what do they know? Sometimes I like to re-mention that, like, these are not theories that we're sitting around and doing peyote and figuring out.
Yeah. And, we're playing parts a little bit. There's people around you like us.
We're good procurers.
Yeah, somebody like us that's maybe not super enthusiastic about one thing or another, and you say, oh, that's what that guy's like.
Yeah, but and the difference is also we're not like reading books and just absorbing knowledge that way. We're kind of proactively looking for this info a lot of the time.
Yeah, and if we're not looking for it, then usually we don't. If we're assigned something to learn, it's like,
well, that's the beauty of doing this stuff is we have to learn a lot of businesses on the fly and a lot of like industries because we don't go for a niche, which is dumb and smart at the same time. Makes us really good at strategy, but it's harder to scale that way. But I do think I applied, and I'll bring it back to the topic, is like I applied the Google 20% rule to doing nonprofit or charity work here.
What is the Google 20% rule, might I ask?
Google does 20%. I'm going to write this down. I'm trying to write a little bit of notes while we're going. Google gives you 20% of your time per week. You can work on something Google related. Like you want to make a product. They call it a product. I call it like an app or feature.
You're talking about if you're a Google employee?
Yeah, sorry. If you're a Google employee, 20% of your time. And that's
a big number.
I may be fucking up the percentage because I've heard 20% forever, but I never looked it up. At any rate, they give a certain percentage of their time. You can work on like a new service or product for Google, or you can work on a better way of doing a process. It's all like kind of proactive. You can work on something unique. It's really smart for them because you're essentially tricking
them into thinking they have power over what they're doing.
You eventually have all these entrepreneurs making new innovative stuff, or you're having a lot of people just clean up operations in a way.
Yeah.
So
you can do whatever you want if it's for Google.
Well, it's smart. It's a smart way of managing, right? So it's like, hey, you have so many people, and a lot of good ideas get stifled in corporate America. I think that's like one of the most brilliant ways of managing people because a lot of entrepreneurs just want to get it out there to go, I was right.
Yeah.
Right? I knew
I
the
don't
way.
care about the money. I just want to be right.
So what we talked about last week, entrepreneurs, you have to have that personality of like, it's not really, people think it's the risk part. It's more about like, you have enough ego to go, I've got something no one else. I've got this idea, or I've got this way of doing something that no one else can handle.
Yeah, and the flip of it is failing, and it's like, oh, your stupid idea failed.
Right. Which is crazy.
Which is attached to you forever. Oh, that's the guy that tried the, I don't know, 5-wheel bicycle. I have no idea.
Shout out to iTrekkers. They wrote a really good piece in the Tampa Bay Business Journal about failing.
Okay.
That guy's always been nice to me. I was around in their infancy when I was at a different firm. It was basically the Uber for getting fishing guides, like deep sea fishing.
Oh, that's cool.
There's more companies out there doing it now. He was kind of laughed at when he started. I think he went with the Florida funders that fund a lot of in-state ideas like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought it was really cool he wrote about failing like that.
Yeah. Happens all the time.
So I think our age group gets that, like, you almost put it in your business plan now to
fail?
Well, you're going to fail. You're going to have little failures.
Just accounting for possible failure?
No, the 20% rule. You're going to So we use the 20% rule, 10%. I figured out how much time a week, call it 40 hours of labor per person, right? Take 10% of that, and that can get donated toward a charity, toward that once a quarter. And once a quarter is something we can handle. And there's a reason I do once a quarter, because I'll get into the second part of this is game planning. What's the criteria for what you should look for? A lot of people spread around, here's $1,000 to this charity, here's $1,000 to this charity.
Yeah.
And they're not even looking at,
is it benefiting? Like, would it benefit one place more to give $10,000 rather than 10 places $1,000?
Exactly.
Put them over the edge, sort of thing.
Is it Komen for the Cure, where I did a comedy tour with them.
Yeah.
Like, we were the Pink Ribbon Comedy Tour, and then, like you said, we didn't know actually where that was going. We were like, breast cancer, that's good. Like,
yeah,
that's a good thing to do a tour with. It'll bring people out in a way. And we were like, most of this goes to awareness.
Your CEO makes how much? Like, what? Your executives make how much?
I'm okay with that sometimes, but I bet if you go through the rest of the income statement, a lot of fluff's there.
Well, I mean, GuideStar.org, I think, actually puts a bottom line number out on percentage of revenues going to actual people in need or who it was directed to go to. Like, it gives you a bottom line number.
So I'd say GuideStar is a really good place to look. It's probably not going to have the small guys on there.
I think it does.
Oh, you think it has?
Yeah,
everything?
I think it's
probably has every 501c3.
Yeah, I think it's. I don't know if it's actually a government organization, but I think it's
an organ.
It's like whatever. Everything runs through it one way or another.
Interesting. Yeah, so it probably just procures the data of all listed 501c3s,
right?
501c5. I don't remember.
I think it don't matter.
It doesn't matter. But I would say you can, when you game plan, we kind of just talked about this off mic, but the way I look at making kind of bigger decisions is kind of let the math do it for you in a way. So what are the needs? What are the wants?
Mm-hmm.
Put it in columns or a ledger or whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
And write down like, okay, let's go pizzeria. Okay. I need to find a nonprofit or a charity or something community-based. Here's my criteria. The needs are my thousands or hundreds that of money I'm going to donate. Let's say part of it's donating money. It's going to affect that. It's going to really help.
Yeah.
So I would say smaller foundation.
Mm-hmm.
All right. That's one. Number two.
Maybe figure out what you feel is helping also. Like,
well, that's monetary, right? So that can be straight up.
Well, maybe, but what, say you donate $100 to the charity that gives something to somebody who doesn't need it or whatever, you know, and you're just like,
yeah.
well.
I'm not saying like a football player's like foundation. I'm saying like, I guess that was assumed. So good call, because bringing that up is.
Well, I guess it's more just like, will that thing make a difference the way you want it to?
Right.
Like, figure out what's going to make you feel like you did something, you know?
So, yeah.
What's your standard?
Can you see anything tangible? Might be something you want.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know if that's a need necessarily.
Yeah, I gotcha.
A need would be like the brand or the business, the pizza business, it's going to get something back in return of like PR. And this is where a lot of people think I'm a douchebag. So I'm going to.
One area.
Well, yeah, amongst many things. But I'm saying like, and this is kind of the biggest crux of all of this, I tell a lot of clients, is like, stop spreading it around. Let's focus on one thing you can really make a difference with. Really align yourself with someone. I put on that criteria list an executive director that gives a shit, not just hired there as a job. Preferably they're not crazy, because there's a lot of, the mom that's got the crazy eyes a little bit.
Yep.
They're highly functional and doing a lot of stuff, but they're also like, they can put on events and they can fundraise, but they're like just not good at the business part.
Yeah.
And they're not going to be good at handing it off.
Yeah.
Like if I can find out there's a succession plan, or there is a plan in general, like if you can have that conversation with a smaller charity, that's great. Right. To know that like you're going to be in it for the long run too.
Yeah.
So do they do events? Do they do things that, hey, if I give X amount of pizzas every month, I'm going to donate that to the monthly event you do. Is it okay if I put it on our social media, put it on our website, push it out there? Again, this is where people think I'm douchey. They don't care, right?
They don't care. And
they
in fact,
actually love it.
Yeah, they love it. That's PR for both of you.
People feel gross doing it.
That's something we've gotten over that.
Sure,
but
everything you do well is a marketing opportunity. You are giving back to the community. People will not know that.
Yeah.
They won't know that you gave pizza. The people that arrive at the event won't know unless you put signage up.
If you're going to do it, might as well get a little credit for it.
Yeah, treat it a little bit like you're spending money on advertising. You're paying to advertise almost. You are paying.
It's such a weird
cost.
It's such a weird thing to get over.
It is. And it took me a little bit a while to reprogram that too. But I've told lawyers that can go, family law attorneys that we've talked to, like, hey, maybe go talk to the battered women's shelter and see if you can do pro bono there. Yeah. And we'll figure out how to write something about it and mention that you do that, because they're not gonna promote something like that. Yeah. So we have to do it. Yeah. And then, hey, we're the fall guys. If your buddies think you're gross for doing that, just say we nudged you to do it.
It's like those things, even for whatever PR outlet, if somebody's coming to write a newspaper article about it, even those newspaper people are appreciative. They now have content.
Oh, yeah.
They can go out and they can put that out. And then it's like, the only time it's really bad is if, 10 years later you find out this charity was a sham or something, but most of the time it's just that weird feeling to get over where it's like, oh, I feel gross doing it. But
right.
It's
if your foundations were set up just to hide money or something. Yeah.
Or create a job for yourself. Yeah. That happens a lot.
Sure, because they're just playing the game.
We bring in $50,000 a year. I pay myself $48,000 a year.
I'm actually okay with
a $2,000 check.
I'm okay with it if we just had better transparency, like easier to like this GuideStar. If they could just show everybody's financials, I don't know. Or
we'll have to run through it. I have to get a refresher on it. I should have looked at it before we got on here, but I think it does.
This is part of the game plan. Are they active online? I would put that as more of a want than a need necessarily. But the need should be, can I push this out through our own marketing, what we're doing here? And most of the time, the only blowback you might get is like, let me see it before you push it out. Yeah. Because they have approval systems depending on the board of directors and stuff like that, and their bylaws and all that stuff for a nonprofit. But if you're working with a smaller one, think of it this way. The smaller the charity, it's more like yourself, the entrepreneur. Because they're more agile. They're the ones making the decisions. They don't have to until they get a lot of fundraising and a lot of board of director help.
A lot of less red tape.
Right. I want to help our daycare, but I can't for a while because they got to go through board of directors to do a lot of stuff. And I'm like, that's part of what I want to come in and help you with.
Mm-hmm.
You shouldn't have that. Or you should have a streamlined way of voting on stuff where they don't have to attend in person.
Yeah.
So
to get free charity work.
Yeah. So that, right. Well, because that fear of the unknown from the director's perspective, well, I'm here as an advisor.
Yeah.
I'm here as the parent of this nonprofit, essentially.
Can't hurt our brand.
Right. I watch over. I just want to make sure this guy that looks like Spicoli is, coming in here and he's doing it correct.
Yeah.
And most of the time, all they do is delay things.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, that you may be able to, you're the pizza guy working with a charity. You can only really help with pizza stuff. But sometimes I'll go, hey, what? I'll try to keep asking to help in another way. In addition to what we do, I'll try to give a referral for someone I know, I trust, that's going to go in there and help them. Our Simplicity Organizing friend of the program, Sarah Doring. Hey, you got a bunch of papers everywhere. Sarah might come in here and donate some time to do that in a similar way.
Right.
And I can say that without.
How often are you doing that to poor Sarah?
No. I've given her enough referral business that I'm comfortable enough.
That she owes me.
No, she don't know anything. Well, look, how many people are going to pick up the phone and actually do it too?
Yeah.
I mean,
it's true.
Because I like pitching her as a referral friend because we're up in people's shiz all the time in their office, and it's basically me going like, "Hey, you're pretty dirty."
It's a real mess, isn't it?
So a lot of people have to have the ego aside to go, "Yeah, this is a dump." So
yeah.
So that's the second part is like really game planning, really strategizing. Look for the percentage that is going to the activity the group claims to do. Foster by 25 was one here that I really liked that I found through a friend. We used to do a stand-up show once a month that we would donate the door. So in a similar way, this is kind of the same idea. We'd have a once-a-month show. Comedians can work on stuff. They don't get paid. But it was a good show. And the restaurant we did it at, it was their best night of the month. And then a local charity got a couple $100.
Everybody wins,
and
except for you.
I tried. Yeah, I lost a lot of time, but I learned more about this kind of world and how to structure this stuff, So there is experience to it, and I got stage time.
Mm-hmm.
Really working a crowd that saw you every month. Like half the crowd would come every month. So
oh, really?
You have to. Yeah, they didn't follow that 80-20 rule John Taffer had.
Oh, okay.
It was like a 50-50 kind of place.
That's weird.
Yeah. Well, it went out of business. So,
oh.
Or they just didn't care.
Oh.
They sold it off. So, third part, where can you look? Where are some resources to kind of find out this stuff? We already looked at GuideStar, right? There's a bunch of things for. I'm trying to think how to go about this. Some resources to try to give pragmatic advice. I think that thing about interviewing someone that works for the foundation, like in a real sit down, not just like fly by night, like I'm dropping off pizzas, and hey, you talk for 15 minutes, like really try to see how a relationship your business can have with that charity.
Yeah.
How your product I used to work for an air purifier company. We would give money to the Children's Asthma and Allergy Association. You've probably seen the symbol. It's like a
dusty lung.
It's an iron lung. It's just a dead
rebrand.
Kid. No, it's it's like a sketch outline drawing of a kid's face. It's like yellow and red. If you see it,
that's a really good description.
Okay, let's look it up. It looks like Rocky Dennis from Mask.
Oh, okay. With asthma.
Right. So point being, like, we wanted to we want to donate to this product, to this charity, by having the sticker on there. The Energy Star is the same thing too, right?
It is? What is that?
I think so. Energy Star products.
Yeah, what is that?
I don't know if it's...
I thought it was just saying...
I don't know if it's a non-profit or for-profit, actually.
Yeah, I thought it was just a thing saying that it's energy efficient.
who regulates that,
I don't know.
right?
Those
It's
people
not the
make the
government.
stickers?
Right. So it's either a nonprofit or for profit.
Okay.
I don't think it's a government entity. It's not like the FDA for food.
Yeah, I guess that's weird. I mean, you
Or
know,
like
because
vitamins.
they slap those stickers across different brands of like TVs and things. It's not one particular brand that's throwing it on there.
You pay for that sticker. Basically.
Oh, I'm sure.
I mean, that sticker that you can put on the packaging. And then talk about red tape. I mean, the higher this gets, we were probably out kicking our coverage as the size we were as an air purifier company to get like something like that on there, because it's a lot of money. We're not going to get a lot out of it. They wouldn't let us like publicize too much, like whenever we wanted to. Like we should be doing that like once a month, just reminding people on our social, like, hey, you know, we do this, write something about it.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of red tape.
Yeah.
And so we're handcuffed. We basically paid a lot. We felt good about it, but we didn't get the marketing dollars back that we should have.
What was the thought about, like, what was the thinking behind, like, doing it? Like, it just seems like a superfluous thing that's like, who's going to notice if it's not there?
The owners valued that sticker a lot more than what
really,
I thought.
the stickers, I guess.
Well, I just call it the sticker because that's all you could really get out of it.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, it just seems like if I bought a TV, I wouldn't notice if this the energy. Hey, where's the Energy Star sticker for this? You know,
some people do. I mean, because it's almost ubiquitous now. This Energy Star, because it's almost on everything.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So maybe the standards are really low, so they can get a lot of people to pay for stickers.
Oh,
think of that.
okay.
We got to call Tripoli. We got a conspiracy on our hands. Tinfoil hat.
Bust it
Podcast
out.
shout out. So, you know, I would say when you're game planning, getting to that point where you are really vetting out stuff, and this is kind of the third piece to this, is like interview the executive director, interview if they have a plan, you know, long term, if that's what you want to do with them.
Somebody important. Look at their mission statement.
You're not stuck. And you're not stuck into like some kind of contract too, because that happens a lot. Maybe
a charity contract.
Well,
with the charity, you mean?
Sometimes pledging it is a contract.
Oh,
right. Because our friend here, you know, small partner, our friend Katie Wyatt, who's been involved. She's worked for 10 different nonprofits. You know, she's told me, like, there's some official donation stuff that you're on the hook. If you say you do it, you're on the hook. And then a lot of her job, a lot of the time, is tracking them down, like Dog the Bounty Hunter.
Weird. I didn't think about it.
So
this isn't like go to a charity auction, get drunk, and put too much for a boat, and then
that can't happen.
Is that what we're talking about?
Well, that's one. That's one thing. If you're a company that pledges X amount, and other than bankruptcy, and you don't give it, I mean, sometimes they go after them.
Yeah, I guess
because they count on that money.
Yeah, there are those things that, you know, if the Rays hits a home run in the fourth inning, we're going to donate this much money.
Yeah.
Huh.
Cane's Furniture donates $100 for every strike. I thought it was $100 for every strikeout.
Oh, I don't know what it is these days.
To something. I don't know.
Used to get a coupon for a pizza if they got 10 strikeouts, and you had to go down to Cane's and buy a couch and get your free pizza.
Because that's the deal. They get you through the doorway.
Yeah.
And then it's on them.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the big deal with retail. Get them through that threshold. For websites, for our stuff, a lot of the time, get them to the site.
Mm-hmm.
It's up to the site to close on them, get that info. So, God, why can't I find this? Now I feel like I made this up. This allergy and asthma children's.
What do you want me to see it?
Yeah.
I'm sure I've seen it.
I know you've seen it.
I believe it.
So I'd say, you know, look up when you're game planning, when you're in that, what I'd call this third area. We try the third part of this stuff. I'm trying to give the actual pragmatic advice. You know, ask the executive directors, what's the game plan? Do you have a business plan? Try to figure out if they run it like a business. You know?
Yep.
I think nonprofits should.
Is it their only job?
Yeah.
Or is it a side gig that they don't care that much about?
That's huge.
You know?
Is this a stay-at-home mom trying to find time?
Right.
Does she have something to do?
Yeah.
You know? which isn't always bad.
Yeah, that could be a good thing. But, is all their time going into that? Are they taking it seriously?
Is the outcome what you want it to be, your expectations? So just like any goal you set for your business, part of this marketing tactic, call it a marketing tactic if you want, part of this giving back, this donation, what you need to have the goal of getting something back out of it. That's the marketing part, but that's also maybe you'll gain some ideas. Hey, I want to donate. Maybe it's a complimentary thing, right? You're a junk hauling service, right? But you want to work with a nonprofit with maybe the homeless or something like that, because there's junk left in a certain area, a skid row of your town of sorts. So by learning the psychology of why people leave stuff there, you might get this ancillary benefit of figuring out your junk hauling service strategy a lot better.
Or find a good place to dump your stuff.
Or, find the best places in town. The little nuggets.
The hot spots.
The little swamp.
Yeah.
The little swamps where, or the jungle or the forest where that one porno mag that every kid that's 12 sees for the first time.
Yeah. How did this get here?
Some homeless guy left a Playboy.
Mom, I'm going to the forest again.
Just dudes jerking it in the woods.
Hide behind
It's
trees.
so weird how many guys stumble upon that stuff as kids. So I'd say look that up. Do an audit of their stuff. Is the website up to date? To me, that's like dressing appropriately.
Yes.
For a meeting almost. Is your website? Are you trying?
Yeah.
Ask them about resources. Just to see where they're at, and maybe how much influence you might be able to have. That's a little dark sounding, but if you're going to put a lot of time in a long-term relationship,
do it for real, like you said,
treat it like you're on the board of directors.
Right. If you know somebody that can help them out, connect them together if possible.
Right. I'm a big local guy as far as I think, take care of problems here first.
For sure.
And as this grows, as we get older, maybe, it goes more regional, national things we can work on. But I feel like that whole thing about why are we telling other countries what to do when we're not that great sometimes? I see that on a micro level here, and I'm like, well, I know my ego. I don't want to be a drop in the bucket. I want to actually the reason I'm in this business is because I get a business boner, hard,
sometimes real,
girthy, not very long, but girth, that veiny as well. I get a business.
Did you say girthy?
Yeah.
Okay.
I get a business boner going, hey, when we met, you were here, and now we're here. I get excited. That is why I do what I do. That's my why.
Yeah.
I hate saying that. What's your why? What's your why for your business?
I've never been asked that. Thank God.
You're about to have a lot more meetings in the future.
Yeah.
And a lot of business coachy people.
My wife makes me.
Right. So I think maybe your passions have to align in that direction. Maybe your passion with the contact at the nonprofit or the mission statement of the nonprofit has to be similar.
Yeah.
Ours is maybe a little bit not quite community driven as the church or as the Tampa Pig Jig on the river, but they all have some kind of community aspect, and also they're working towards something.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I can look back and go, hey, I've sold tickets for that festival through our ads. For that, it's a music fest barbecue for Tampa Pig Jig on the River. We've done it 6 years, and I've gotten our ROI for every dollar we spend. We got $7 back in revenue, which is insane.
Yeah.
For anybody that does online advertising.
Plus, we got to go to the Pig Jig.
Yeah. Well, you did.
Oh yeah, you didn't get to go.
Yeah. baby girl. So I hope that this podcast episode helps. I am still trying to write the accompanying blog posts either before or after with some of that. I at least am writing the sketch of the idea, so I came in with something today.
Yeah. Thanks.
Instead of just really winging it.
Yeah. No, that was good.
But I found that writing a little bit or just dictating like a crazy person walking outside
Yeah. I think you and I don't need much to go. You know, we can go off. We just don't have time to do any of that little bit of writing.
Oh, I was in our BNI group this morning, which is another good community thing. Even though it's, technically for bringing in revenue, I get more out of it on the community level, because I can go, tell that person they can do this, this, and this, and that feels good. A lot of people are trying to hire right now, by the way. It's a good, that BNI group, I know it's culty, but it is a good litmus test for like local economy and how things are going. If you kind of look at trends.
For sure, yeah.
When people are asking for like, hey, we're hiring, we had like 6 people out of 47 today.
I mean, you have a representative from almost every industry in town.
So that's what's crazy. Like the economy's, like, to me, I'm like, the economy's doing well, but no one really realizes it. Or we may be in another bubble if you want to get crazy about it.
Yeah. Well,
That's how we were in 09 or 08 or whatever.
Don't get me started on the economy.
But it was a good measurement of going like, oh shit, man, 6 out of 47 people are asking. That means probably more need, some hiring.
Yeah.
Too. Not everybody in there is a owner. It's sometimes biz development or marketing or whatever. It's just interesting. It's an interesting litmus test to follow. So I hope this helps. We are going to write a lot more. We're going to strategize this podcast, how to get better. Maybe we can do some kind of something CSR for this podcast once it gets to a certain level. I like Time Suck with Dan Cummings because he gives incentives to the audience. Hey, if I get 1,000 reviews, you guys, I'll do a bonus podcast about whatever you want.
Ooh. We should shoot for like 10.
100? yeah, something like that. We got to do a guerrilla campaign to get our people.
We don't advertise at all.
We're really bad at marketing ourselves, and we're going to work on that as well. So
we got work to do.
It is work. Ultimately, we want to do this. We'd love to get paid for it, so we can get better guests for the podcast.
Yeah.
We literally we're dumb enough to go like, we don't care about money. We just want to put it back into this thing to get better.
Yeah, literally. Say it right to your face.
We'll make money on other things.
Yeah.
Like, that's fine.
Sell our bodies.
So, for Eric Reginger, I'm Lal Smith.
I'm not going to correct you.
Hit us up with any questions. Hit us in the comment section. 5-star this. And we love your guts.
SweatEquityPod.com. Check it out.
Let's see how you handle this outro. You got to keep talking until you...
What?
You got.
I ain't trying to hit no posts.
Yeah.
Look, you can turn it up. Ooh.
Hit that post.